Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's lesson. Today, we're going to be talking about standard 3.6c. What is this standard for? This standard is going to teach us how to determine the area of a figure, of an array. So let's see what our learning intention will be. So it says, I will determine the area of rectangles with whole number side lengths in problems using multiplication related to the number of rows times, because we're multiplying, the number of unit squares in each row. That's super important right there, in each row. So basically what it's telling me is that I need to first count how many rows I have. I remember that rows go horizontally. So I'm going to find how many rows are forming that rectangle. And once I have that number, I will also count how many units are in each row. So once I have those two numbers, I would be multiplying them, and that is going to give me my area. My success criteria. So how do I know that I'm successful within this lesson? Well, when I can determine the area of rectangles using multiplication is when I know that I was successful within this lesson. So to start, we would be doing this within our journals. So this is basically just to make sure that you guys have the information available as quickly as you see in the lesson. So I want you guys to go ahead and get out your, we're going to be working this a little bit later. So just to give you a heads up, we're going to have this in our journals. I want you to draw this rectangle that's going to be right here. I want you to determine the rows that are listed in there, as well as the square in each row, the squares in each row, I'm sorry, and the area. So just so you guys have it there available at any time, you don't have to go through the whole process of solving the problem. You can just have a look at it and you can remember how that's determined. So that's going to be a little bit later. And for right now, we're going to basically just dive into it. I'm going to begin with the I do lesson. Remember, guys, that within the I do, I will be modeling for you guys. You guys need to pay attention, look at what I would be annotating, what I'm thinking, what I'm saying, and how I'm doing it, so you guys could reflect that in your activities. So if you have any questions, please just write them down and we'll have a look at them once the I do is complete. So starting this moment, I would be in I do mode. Okay, so let's see. Use square tiles to build the rectangle shown. Okay, what is the area of the rectangle in square inches? All right, so I gave it my first read just to understand it a little bit, and I'm going to reread it, but doing annotations. So let me see. Use square tiles, okay, so I know that each tile is going to be square, to build the rectangle shown. Rectangle. Okay, so I know that a rectangle is formed by two sides that are bigger than the other two sides. So top to bottom are the bigger sides and the ones on the sides are smaller. Okay, so I know what a rectangle is. I remember that. Now let's see what else I see over here. What is the area of the rectangle in square inches? What is the area? Okay, so I know it wants me to determine the area of the rectangle again in square inches. Square inches. So I see that based on this array, it's showing here that one of the sides of the units or the tiles represents 1 inch. Okay, so it wants me to find the area in square inches. All right. So I'm going to begin with my UPSC. Let's do this in black. All right. Okay, so my U for understanding. What do I know? What's the information that I know? Okay, so I know that 1 unit equals 1 inch. I also know that I need to count the number of rows. So I know that based on how to get the area, I need to first count the number of rows that I have, and I need to know how many units form each row. So I can then just multiply those together. Okay, so first step one would be checking how many rows I have. I know that rows go horizontally. So that's 1, 2, 3 rows. Okay, so I have 3 rows, number of rows equals 3. And I just need to count how many units I have in each row. So let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4 units. So I have number of units per row equals 4. Pretty simple. Okay, so how am I going to plan on getting the area? So I know that I have to multiply the number of rows times the number of units per row and that is going to give me my area. I said I have 3 rows and number of units per row is 4. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and solve it. So I know that I have 3 rows. So 3 rows, so I don't forget, times number of units per row. So that's times 4 units. That will give me 3 times 4 is 12. So it's telling me that 12 is my total. Now I need to make sure. The best way that I can do this right now would be to check. I can count in pairs. So let's see, that's these 2, 4, 8, 6, 8, 10, 12. Or the easier way, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, so again, just 12 times 4 equals 12. And that means that my area equals, and again, it says in square inches. So area, we said, equals 12 square inches. I'm going to put it that way. Okay, so I'm going to backtrack to make sure I understood what I did. So the first, of course, is to read the problem, just to get a gist of what it's asking me. I'm going to reread the problem, but doing annotations, making sure that I underlined and determine which are my keywords or key phrases. So once I did that, I analyzed the array that it's giving me here because I need to know what I'm seeing. So I noticed that each one of the sides or each one of the units represents 1 inch. The question is asking me, what is the area of the rectangle in square inches? Okay, so I know that I needed to first put the information that I know, and also I would be counting the rows that I have in this array. So I know that it's row number 1, number 2, and number 3. So 3 rows, number of rows, 3. And number of units per row. So we said that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I have also my number of units per row, which is 4. And I would go to my planning. So I know that it's number of rows times the number of units, and that's going to give me my area. Then I went ahead and solved the problem. So 3 times 4 equals 12. And the way that I check it is basically just counting to make sure. In this case, it's pretty simple because it's only 12. So I either skip counted in twos. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. That means that I can also multiply. Or another way is just repeated counting. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And that gave me my answer.